Right, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So today we're going to continue our syllabus on research methodology, which is type of data and measurement. But before we go to the type of data and the scale of measurement, now we look at the variables, right? Variables, what is the meaning of variables? Variables means that the characteristic or attribute that can assume different values. It means that something that you like to measure. For example, let's say you want to measure height of the student. So height is the variable. If you want to measure the weight of the student, so weight is the variable. If you want to measure amount of money spent to buy a book in a month, so amount of money is a variable. So in variable, we have two type of variables, right? First is a qualitative variable, and another one is a quantitative variable. So qualitative variable is known as a categorical variable, right? It's known as a categorical variable. For example, gender, geographic location, type of house. This is an example of categorical variable. Means that in gender, it can be either male or female. Geographic location, either local or let's say, for example, let's say Malaysia or Singapore or Thailand. So this is the qualitative variable. So for a quantitative variable, we have two type of quantitative variable, right? Normally, we know that quantitative variable is a numerical variable. Yes, this is a numerical variable for quantitative. So in quantitative variable, we have two types, which is one is a discrete quantitative variable. Another one is a continuous quantitative variable. What is the difference between discrete and continuous quantitative variable? So discrete assume value that can be count. It means that in terms of whole number, if you see number of children, number of car, number of student, number of tables, so we need to count to get the value to get the number, right? So this is a discrete quantitative variable. For a continuous quantitative variable, it's a value of numerical value between a specific range. For example, height of students, right? So it will range from 1 to 100 and 180 centimeter. It can be like that, right? For example, another example is amount of money, amount of fees, let's say length of a box, height of the box. So this is an example for a continuous quantitative variable. Right, let's look at the type of variable, the exercise. So determine whether the variable is qualitative or quantitative, right? So we need to differentiate which one is qualitative and which one is quantitative. If the variable is quantitative, determine whether it is discrete or continuous. So number of number of handphones per household. So this is going to give us a count value. So this is a quantitative variable, a discrete quantitative variable. Number of long distance call made per month. So how many number of long distance call you made per month? Let's say 1, 2, 3 or more than 3. So this is a quantitative variable, discrete quantitative variable. Length in minute of the longest distance call made. So length of minute, it can be in a specific range, right? So it's a quantitative variable, right? But this is a continuous quantitative variable. Whether there is a fax machine in a household, whether it can be either, the answer could be either yes or no. So this is going to be a qualitative variable. Ownership of a cellular phone, so whether it is a owner or non-owner. So this is another example for a qualitative variable, right? So let's look at another example. Suppose the following information is obtained from a student upon exiting from the campus bookstore during the first week of class. So we need to determine whether the variable is qualitative or quantitative. If the variable is quantitative, determine whether it is discrete or continuous. Now, amount of money spent on book. How many ringgit you spend to buy a book? So it can be in a specific range, right? Going to be a quantitative variable, and this is actually a continuous quantitative variable. Number of textbooks purchased, going to be either 1, 3, 4. This is a discrete quantitative variable. So amount of money spent, this is the same example as number 1. Right? It's going to be a continuous quantitative variable. Academic measure, either you are taking statistics or business or actuarial. So this is going to be a qualitative variable, right? This is a categorical variable. Gender, of course, we already discussed this before. This is a qualitative variable. Number of credit register for in the current semester. So it can be various, maybe 24, maybe 18, maybe some number, maybe 12. So it's going to be a it's going to be a quantitative variable under discrete quantitative variable, right? The last example, method of payment, going to be either cash or credit, right? Or bank transfer. So this is going to be a qualitative variable. So it is important to understand or to differentiate the type of variable in each variables, right? For us to plan what type of analysis that we're going to employ, what type of method of analysis, or what type of statistical method that you're going to employ in our analysis, right? So in another type of variable that we are going to discuss a lot in statistical model is a dependent variable and independent variable, right? So independent variable is a variable that you believe might influence your outcome measure. This might be a variable that you control, like treatment, or a variable not under control, like exposure. It also might represent a demographic factor like age or gender. It's also known or can be manipulated, such as temperature level, reward, time limit, age, etc., etc. Right? Dependent variable is a variable that you believe that might influence or modify by the other variables, such as treatment or exposure. Also known as outcome variable, right? Or maybe I forgot this one. Independent variable, also known as a predictor variable, right? Dependent variable is outcome variable or response variable, right? Another name is a response variable. So such as score, output, profit, cost, number of units sold, and opinion, and so on. So for example, that's a brief example. Let's say you want to measure a risk of getting heart disease, right? So you know that smoking can cause heart disease. So smoking is not depend on heart disease, right? So but risk of getting heart disease depend on how many cigarette you smoke. So risk of heart disease is a dependent variable, and smoking cigarette is independent variable. So this is one of the example, right? Another type of variable I'm going to introduce is a control variable. So control variable is strict variable for dependent. There are no treatment group, right? For example, to determine the relationship between house price and location by city center, the control variable should be could be the type of house or location or both. Another thing is a control is usually taken into a case control research design. In a case control research design, right? First group we have a treatment group. Another group is a control group. For example, let's say you want to measure how effective the drug on a certain disease. So on the treatment group, you're going to give an intervention drug. On the control group, you're just going to give a placebo. So to measure this one, to compare whether the effectiveness of the drug and the control, right? So the control is playing an important role to make a comparison, or if you are doing an exploratory study, If let's say, if you, for example, let's say you want to find a risk factor on a certain disease, so you might have a control group and a treatment group, right? So another variable is extraneous variable. It's not part of the study, but it might affect the dependent or independent variables. For example, a significant difference in salary between male and female graduate could be due to the difference in area of specialization. For example, more male in science and technology graduate, not due to the gender discrimination, right? So this is an extraneous variable. So example of extraneous variable, a researcher wanted to see whether a new way of teaching English was superior to a more traditional method, right? So the researcher select two business English communication class at a local college. In one class, the instructor used a traditional method, and the second class, the instructor used a newer approach for the class, right? So the researcher can then access student language ability after they had completed the program. So in this case, the extraneous variable is the level of English communication skill of the student, which may differ, and the ability of the lecturer, which may also differ. So this is the extraneous variable that normally we are not taken in part into the research model or the statistical model, right? But sometimes it might be affect the type 1 error, right? So another type of variable, which is a moderator variable. Moderator variable is one which alter the relationship between two or more variables. For example, the relationship between behavior and the extent of television watching among children may differ between male and female. So in this case, gender is a moderator variable. So the behavior might be some different on male children and female children. Another example, the relationship between behavior and television watching is significant for males but not for females. Therefore, gender should be removed if the relationship between behavior and television watching may disappear. Right. So now let's look at for the second part, which is a scale of measurement. So for a scale of measurement, we have four types of scale of measurement. The first one is nominal scale, ordinal scale, interval, and ratio. So in these four parts of scale of measurement, they are dividing into two type of variable. For nominal and ordinal scale of measurement, it lies under qualitative variable. For interval and ratio scale of measurement, it lies under quantitative variables. Right, let's look at one by one. So nominal scale, the objects are assigned to mutually exclusive label category, but there are no necessary relation between the categories. Right. So nominal scale is one that allow the researcher to assign subject to a certain group or categories. Right. So for example, sex or gender, geography, location, marital status are nominally scale variable. Means that nominal scale, for easy to understand, nominal scale is a categorical variable, and each label are not related to each other, and we cannot rank the label. Means that we can say, for example, gender, we have male and female. So male cannot be first. We cannot rank male as first, female as second, or we can do female first, male as second. So we cannot determine which one is first. So this is a nominal scale. So it's a categorical variable. So now there are no quantitative information is conveyed, or no ordering of the item is implied. So nominal scales are therefore qualitative rather than quantitative. For example, frequency distribution are usually used to analyze data measurement on the nominal scale, right? So main statistic computed is a mode. Variable measured on a nominal scale are often referred to a categorical or qualitative variable. This is what I said before. So this is an example of a nominal scale, male and female. So what is the job title? Receptionist, waiter, cook, bellboy. This is a example of a nominal scale. So it's actually a qualitative variable. So now look at another qualitative variable, another scale that lies under qualitative variable, which is ordinal scale. So this scale is obtained by ranking object, right? Arranging them in order with regard to some common variables, right? So this is actually a categorical variable as well, right? Like nominal scale, ordinal scale also a categorical variable. But the difference between ordinal and nominal is ordinal, we can do a ranking. We can rank the object, we can rank the category. Right? The question is whether each object has more or less of this variable than some other object. For example, right, let's say rank the attribute below according to their importance in influencing your choice in the rest of the restaurant. So we can, respondent can rank whether the location is number 1, number 2 is pleasant atmosphere, service quality, food, and price. So this is example of ordinal scale. So another example, you can say that the income, household income, whether the low income, medium income, or high income. So this is a example of ordinal scale. Likert scale also is a part of a ordinal scale. It's a categorical variable, but we can do a ranking on that level. So another scale of measurement that lies under quantitative variable is interval scale. It allows us to perform certain arithmetical operation on the data collected. This scale allows us to measure the distance between any 2 points of scale. Right? This helps us to compute the means and standard deviation of the response on the variables. This also indicates the magnitude of the difference in the variables. So that is the difference between an arbitrary pair of measurement can be meaningful compared. Operations such as addition, subtraction are therefore meaningful, right? So the central tendency of the variable measured at interval level can be represented as mode, median, and its arithmetic mean. The mean gives most important information, right? So the example of interval scale is, for example, let's say Celsius, right? Temperature in Celsius scale and Fahrenheit. So another point that interval scale says that the zero value is not a true zero. For example, 0 Celsius and 0 Fahrenheit totally are different, giving a different meaning, right? 0 Celsius means that we are at a very cold position, while 0 Fahrenheit, it doesn't mean that we are zero position. And also that 0 value, we have some meaning on the 0 value. Let's say 0 Celsius doesn't mean that there are no temperature at 0 Celsius. It means that we are at a cold level, right? So the 0 value might be not a true 0, right? So this is interval scales, right? But remember, interval scales is a numerical value, which is a quantitative variable. Sorry. So it's a continuous variable. It can be a continuous variable, right? So for example, interval scales we have such as, for example, this type of question. We have strongly disagree until strongly agree. You can treat this one as an interval scale, right? So another one is, which is the last one, which is ratio scale. Ratio means that it measures the magnitude of difference between point of the scale and tap the proportion in the difference. Allow the computation of arithmetical mean and measure of dispersion. used in organizational research when exact figure or objective vector are rated. So this scale, this is a scale of equal ratio and has absolute zero. Means zero is giving a meaning. Means that if you say you don't have money, so zero is no money, right? So this is an example of a ratio scale, right, in terms of percentage, right? Another example, how many other organizations did you work before joining there? How many employee report to you? How many years of experience do you have in your current field? Right. So review of the scale, right? So nominal scale, it highlights the difference by classifying object or person into groups and provide the least amount of information on the variables. Where ordinal scale provides some additional information by rank, ordering the categories of the nominal scale. Right. So the difference between these two is ordinal scale we can do a ranking on each level, but on nominal scale we cannot do a ranking on each level. Interval scale and ratio scale. Interval scale not only rank but also provide us with information on the magnitude of the difference in the variables, where the ratio scale indicate not only magnitude of the difference but also their proportion. The difference between these two, we know that these two were level of measurement, nominal and ordinal, lies under qualitative variable. For interval and ratio lies under quantitative variable, right? But the difference between interval scale and ratio scale is a true zero or not true zero or absolute zero, right? Interval scale does not have a true zero, means that the zero value does not give a zero meaning. It means some other things, right? So this is an exercise. Identify the level of measurement scales for the following question posed in the survey. So this concept is good value of money. So from strongly disagree to strongly agree. So normally we would say this is a Likert scale, right? Likert scale usually lies under ordinal scale. So this is a ordinal scales. On a scale of 0 to 100, 0 means not satisfied at all, 100 means complete satisfied at all. Please rate your satisfaction with our overall service. So this is, it can take 0 to, the range of the that this question can take is from 0 to 100. So any value between these 0 and 100 are possible. So this is a ratio scale, right? How much money do you have in your pocket now? Let's say I say 5 ringgit. So this is also a ratio scale. Your nationality, Malaysian or non-Malaysian, this is a nominal scale. Overall quality of house, poor, average, and good. So it ranks from poor, average, and good. So this is ordinal scale. The number of deaths daily registered by each government hospital in the country. So it can be either 2 or 1 or 6. So this is a ratio scale, right? So this one I leave it for you to do the exercise. So please test yourself what type of variable and what the scale of measurement that you can identify from this question. So it should be very easy. It takes you only 2 or 3 minutes to identify. Right. State whether each of the following are continuous or discrete data. So it's also a simple task for you to do. So please test yourself whether which one of what type of variable for the first one, second one, and third one. And if you can, please also identify what type or level of measurement for each variable that this question asks. Right, I think that's all for type of variable and type of data and measurement. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum.